This guy's a hustler, so can you see the whole thing?
Right, keep it still because people need to see your paint. Because
Okay, sure.
you are absolutely brilliant.
Oh, thanks.
Just get that.
You're pretty sexy.
You are. Get the gill plate a bit closer to the camera, Joe. That's it. Look at that. Hold that still. Oh, back to where you were.
Up.
Perfect. Look at that. I mean, how long would that take you just to paint one individual bait like that?
I do them in big batches. So this guy's not really, some of the more complicated ones, they take me quite a while. Like, here, let me grab one I'm working on. Hang on one sec. Here, back. So you can probably hear my compressor going and painting right now. But something that's a little bit more complicated, like if you can see the gills on this guy here, this doesn't have a full top coat yet, but the more complicated ones, they take a long time. Like those little gill plates take me a half hour a piece, to paint. Each little line on there take a long time. Yeah. And then the mouth on there takes like an hour. I don't know if you can see the mouth on there, but I hate painting the mouths. The mouth is my least favorite, but looks the coolest. So
do you get angry with yourself? Not angry with yourself, frustrated with yourself if you don't quite get it symmetrical?
Oh. Oh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I'm actually pretty good at it now. There's a few times you can tell when I'm painting late at night because there are a few times I'm like, oh, that's good. I come back the next morning, I'm like, oh, actually here. This is one I was gonna keep for myself. Can you see the fins?
Oh,
they're not perfectly symmetrical. I don't know if anyone can notice that, but these two down here aren't perfectly symmetrical.
They're close. I mean, you wouldn't have noticed unless you hadn't showed it then.
Yeah, I know. No one's probably going to notice, but I notice it. So the ones that have non-symmetrical stuff, they go in my box. But anyways, something a little bit more complicated like these, they definitely take a long time. Yeah. So but usually I do them a batch. I've got I think probably 50 of this going on right now for a batch I'm making, and so I'll do them all in one big batch. But just getting the gill plates matched up, for me it's all just doing it by fingertip when I put the templates over. But yeah, I love it. I mean, that's the thing about it is I love it. There's guys who talk about being burnt out making baits, and certainly I get it once in a while near the end. But I mean, this is my job now, and so I can't think of a better job. I come down here and every day I'm like, oh, the fin's asymmetrical. If that's the worst of my worries, so yeah, it's good to be.
It is good, yeah. How long does it take you to weight a lure, one that's sinking rather than a surface bait? Weighting lures that are subsurface must be very time consuming and frustrating as well, because a piece of wood, one lure, even if you cut it the same as another lure, it's going to have different properties just because of the grain of the wood. How do you get around that one?
Well, there's a couple of ways. I mean, for sure. Gliders are, people can tell you whatever they want, but gliders are the hardest baits to make correctly because they have to sink. Every shape has to sink at a certain angle. So like a large hustler, which is this lure, when I put it, just a bare piece of wood with all the weights in it, and this one has 12, I think, weights in it. When I put it down, it has to sink at a small, like 5-degree angle, or else it doesn't work properly. Yeah. And so, each one of these baits, I wonder if I have a... Hang on, you're back. I'll show you. Yeah.
That is a great musky. I love you, musky. I've got her brother, sister, mother.
Oh, you want me out of the picture now?
No.
Yeah, that's the same as your size, 54 and a half.
Yeah.
That one actually won the Frank Schneider tournament a couple of years ago. So the big fish. So that was the trophy, was the replica, which is pretty cool. I've got a couple trophies too, but that one is that's from Lax. Awesome. It did such a good job. Okay, so blank piece of wood. This guy's all been all been shaped and everything.
Hey, hold on. We're not giving any secrets away, are we?
No, this is okay. That's why I'm showing you. This is a simple video.
Yeah.
All right. So blank piece of wood, right?
Yeah.
This guy gets dropped into a bucket of water. It's sealed, right?
Yeah.
It has the weights in it, which I won't show you because I don't want to give that away.
Yeah.
So I put all the hook hangers on it. This guy goes in a bucket of water, and I want it to sink about, everyone says a foot per second. I usually go slower than that. So I want it to sink really, really slow. A lot of times, because the wood is inconsistent, right? Some of them sink faster, some of them float. So I have to add or subtract weights. And that's all done by drilling out the individual holes. So it's pretty laborious, right? So this guy might sink this fast. When I get it, I have to drill out the weights. So I get to sink really slow like this. and some of them need an angle, some of them need an up angle, some of them need flat. So before anyone paint even goes on it, before people say, "Oh, that lure is really pretty," the real artwork comes in a couple other areas, and that's the weighting of them to make them work the way you want them to work, and then also the seal coat. Like the most important thing of any lure is not the top coat. That's the seal and everything make look pretty. The most important part of any lure is the seal coat, and that's where the artwork comes in. That's where people are. I mean, there are formulas out there that are like, lock and key. I've got mine under lock and key. We're actually going to manufacture it, so it won't be lock and key soon. But it depends on what you seal with, because if the lure is not sealed properly, all that beautiful stuff on the outside is going to crack and fall off, and water is going to get in and intrude.
Yeah.
The other thing you asked, second part of that question, was wood. All the wood being different. I work only with cedar. That's the only wood I work with, and I work with it for a couple of reasons. Cedar, you know what you get. The wood is extremely buoyant. You're not going to get pieces that aren't buoyant. They're all buoyant. And so cedar is pretty consistent in that way. A lot of guys like to work with maple, which is my least favorite to work with. It's easy to work with in far that the grain's pretty tight, and it's easy to sand and machine, and they're not that buoyant, so you don't have to put that much weight in to make them sink. That to me is not, I don't like that. The thing is, with a piece of wood that's denser, is when it sinks, yeah, you might glide, right? But what you're not getting is the buoyancy of the wood fighting the weights. So you don't get that little extra something. And a lot of guys will sacrifice a far glide thinking that that's great. It's not. The reason let me go back up. A piece of like maple or, resin is you can get a really far glide, especially the guys who put a little tail off the back. You can get a really far glide out of it because you're taking all of the inertia, all the energy, and you're putting it into the glide. The problem is you probably get a lot of follows. And speaking musky fishing, pike are different for sure. But you might get a lot of follows that way, but what you're not getting are a lot of biters. And because you've taken all that little extra something out of it, all that little wiggle, all that little actual something on the paws, and you're taking that energy and you're putting it into a glide instead of giving it a little bit of something different. And so for my buck, for my bang for my buck, cedar is the wood to use. I want the weight fighting it. I want the inertia. I'll sacrifice some glide, even though these glide far. I'll sacrifice glide. And a lot of times, too, the far glide fish miss it all the time. But I'll sacrifice that for a little bit of something extra to it. And that's what makes a good bait, in my opinion, a great bait.
That makes perfect sense, because the bait's got some kind of it's not all mechanical from the angler. It's actually doing something itself, which is going to add to the movement within it.
Yeah, a little something extra. I mean, that's what makes fish bait, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what makes other has that bait that's better than the other, even if they're mass produced. Yeah,
well, I've got these here. These are the Wolf Creek shads. And,
those are awesome.
Yeah, I mean, we go back to the pig shads that I use first, which are the striped bow ones.
Awesome.
Even these, the tail would go, and then they'd have a different movement at the front here. They'd wobble like this.
Yeah.
And then Anders was actually involved in producing those. But then when he starts doing these, it's the same principle. The tail goes. The front end, let me do it that way, starts to do that. And then you get these fins, they quiver. So it's got three parts to it that move, but it's very similar to what you're trying to do. Even on a completely solid wooden bait, you want it to you want it to do something in the water that is going to be independent of what the angler's doing. It's just the wood's resistance to not resistance, its buoyancy is helping it give it that extra shimmer. Yes, it's really clever.
Yeah.
I've got one more question, Joe. When you weight your lure, does the epoxy and the paint have any effect on the weight itself?
Not really. I mean, they'll sink faster. When I put them in a bucket of water and I'm getting the drop really, really slow, you put the epoxy on, they're going to sink a little bit faster. And so that's why I get it really slow. I know the epoxy will add a little bit to it, but no, not really. I mean, guys get really wiggy about that, but on a wood lure, no. I mean, I've in years past have put on like 20 coats just to see how it affected the action. It doesn't affect the action. Maybe the sink rate a little bit, but it's negligible.
So you just use your experience of how much. So you know what sink rate you want on a naked wooden lure, and then when you add the paint and the epoxy, you know roughly what it will add to it. Okay.
You got it.
Yeah, that's great, because that's hold on
If you watch
a minute.
the videos.
Hold on. I'm now. Hold on. I've now got a message. It's like everyone wants to contact me when I'm
Yeah,
phoning. Yeah. Right, we're back. Yeah. Well, that's
yeah,
So
right.
that's the skill of the bait maker, then, isn't it? Adding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
experience,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
when I drop, if you ever watch my videos where I drop them in a bucket of water, black guys will say it's too slow. Well, I'm doing it slow because I know once the epoxy at it, it's going to be a foot per second.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Oh, that is
Cool.
cool. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
going to try. I'm going to try. I've got in touch with Anders and Lena to do some videoing as well, because that would be cool.
oh
Just
yeah,
to
cool.
compare notes a little bit without giving
Yeah.
away any secrets.
Well, he's
But
brilliant. It's going to be real similar,
yeah,
for sure.
yeah.
Probably, yeah, and he's a smart guy. It'll be a great conversation.
I think they're going to. They're just really up to their neck with it at the minute. So once we get over the next few weeks, we may be able to do that as well. But that'd be great. And wouldn't it be great to get all three of us on at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Can we do that?
yeah, I think we'd have. Yeah, we can do that.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure
Yeah,
can.
we should
We'll
totally.
try it anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. I
Cool.
miss my buddies.
Now, for people who are watching this, I've kind of given you a carte blanche. Is there anything else you've got on your little desk next to you that you want to show people, or is that?
I can show you the first baits I ever made. All right, here. How about this?
Yeah.
So everyone's at home, right?
Yeah.
Everyone wants a hobby to do while they're at home. So I'll propose bait making. And so not everyone has the kind of layup I have with all the machines and everything. So you can do it a couple different ways. When I first started, I started with a piece of wood and a jigsaw, right? And a wood. Actually, I just had sandpaper. So I'll show you the first lure that I ever made from Muskies. I've made lures before this, but these are about 20-something years old, right? This is with a spray paint can. This is before people put epoxy on lures, really. So don't judge me by my epoxy skills, because no one really did it. So here we go. Here's the first one.
Hold it still. Oh.
Can you see those?
Yeah, but for your first attempts, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, they worked great. I caught fish on both of them.
Yeah.
They worked really well. But yeah, I mean, this is all done. These guys are done with a spray paint can.
Yeah.
No one knew about rotating lures back then, so I just brushed it on and kind of drip dried it. But they caught fish. And actually, the funny thing is, the whole reason I started really making, not the whole reason, but one of the reasons my lures look the way they do today is because I was fortunate, and that many years ago, I would happen upon an estate sale in the newspaper. So estate sales, when people die, they sell off their estate. And my wife and I were collecting back then some stuff, vintage stuff, and this one ad said something about a doll factory closing. I'm like, oh, let's go check that out. It sounds really weird. We're bored. We didn't have kids then. And so I went and I bought all their eyes. And I thought, well, that's cool. I'm going to put those on my lures that, I don't make them yet, but I'm going to put them on the lures I have. And maybe one day if I ever make my own lures, I'll do them around the eyes. And so I bought, I think, 10,000 of the eyes for, I think it was $50. And I bought the molds. And so I got the molds to make the eyes, which have now recently been degraded so much I can't use them as much anymore. But the whole reason my lures look the way they do is because I have these eyes, and I designed the lures kind of around the eyes because I really wanted to use the eyes.
Have you made 10,000, 5,000 lures yet? Oh, right. Yes, yeah.
Yeah, right, so new version, this is the mold I have, but
yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what started my shapes out the way because I really wanted to use those eyes. So, no, I have not used, no, I still have thousands left. I have not made 10,000 lures yet.
Well, no, you need two eyes per lure, so you must have done 5,000 lures. You're not going to believe the show. Well, while you're talking, people are messaging me, and it says a note to Andy. Next week, I need to deactivate my notifications off my phone.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Oh.
Cool. So, all right. So along those lines, so you can make your own baits at home pretty easily, right? I mean, even if you don't have a shop or anything, sandpaper, a jigsaw, a piece of wood. You can make a topwater. You don't have to really put weights in it. You can make something goofy, or you can go and this have to be a blank from Strike Pro, but you can go and get.
Hold that. Is that the guppy blank?
Yeah, this is the Guppy Junior.
Right, hold that still. Oh, okay, right, got that. Yes.
Cool, huh?
Yeah.
And so this one happens to be a blank because I designed stuff for them, but you can go get a hard lure that you like, sand it down, and paint that sucker up. Just get spray paint, paint it up. It's easy enough to do, and for us at least, all the hardware stores are open. You can get spray paint, make some stencils out of cardboard. You can easily paint something up really cool and make your own custom lures. And then, get some crazy eyes and put your eyes on them. And then if you want to go nuts, you can do, you can get some carving knives and you can go crazy and do lots of carving and,
Oh, that looks beautiful.
Thanks. Yeah, big sucker.
He has one. It looks like a sucker. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so you can get carving knives. Flex Cut is the knife company I like to use. They're not too expensive. Get a piece of wood, and this is what I do whenever I finally finish a batch and people stop heckling me for baits. This is what I do late at night, to carve up all this stuff. And, it's kind of cathartic.
So would that be more of a sorry, my brain's gone. Would that be kind of to put in someone's sort of showcase? That one. That's not a fishing. Would that be for your fishing capability, or?
Oh yeah, this one's going in my box. Yeah, I'm going to fish this one.
Okay.
Yeah. I make all. There's none I make actually that are showcase. I make them all.
Too beautiful to chuck around.
Oh heck no! I mean, thanks, but I'm going to fish it. So,
mind you, I did. God, was it? No, it was 2 years ago, wasn't it? When we were on the boat together, and you had all the prototypes you were chucking about. And
right.
Yeah. Well, you
lived it.
You kept pulling out these works of art out of your big box, and I kept thinking that you can't use that, but you were, and it was. I'm thinking he's chucking around these works of art, and one of them came off. Do you remember?
No, I don't remember. Oh yeah,
but
big tackle.
I caught it second cast. It was a surface bait.
Oh yeah, the topwater. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they broke it. The crimp on the leader. Yeah. Remember that?
Yeah.
Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh,
you never fished on my boat. In my boat, my boat has you fished with Matt and I. My boat, they call it the candy shop. I've got this huge. The front deck basically lifts up, and there's just thousands of baits in there. It's pretty funny. Everyone loves it because they like to dig around there when I'm trying to fish. But the main reason I fish out of the back of the boat is so in the front can just play with lures. Keep some off the fish for me.
The candy shop.